Welcome back to the Prophetic Creative. I'm Khaleedah, and I am so glad that you're here. Today, I want to speak directly to the person who has been holding back, to the one who have been shrinking, softening, and toning it down. And not because God asked you to, but because somewhere along the way, you were made to feel like who you really are was way too much. So if you ever second guessed your voice, your calling, or even your presence, then this message is for you. Because what I feel so strongly today is this: you need to stop editing yourself. And not in the practical sense, but in the spiritual one. You don't have to perform. You don't have to shrink. And you don't have to keep cutting pieces of yourself off just to be palatable. Because God never asks you to dilute what He designed to carry weight. So let me be honest. Editing yourself is something we often do after we've been misunderstood, after we've been dismissed, or silenced in some kind of way. Because after that, you start second guessing. You start saying, should I say that? Or maybe I'm coming across too intense. Or maybe I should just make it sound softer, maybe? Or what if I just don't say anything at all? And before you even know it, your boldness becomes hesitation. And your confidence gets trimmed into silence. And your voice, the very one God breathed into, starts sounding nothing like the one that you used to recognize. But I want to remind you of something today. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. Your depth is not a problem. Your voice, your sound, and your presence was never meant to blend in. Because you were never called to be in the background. You were called to carry glory, and glory doesn't hide. So recently, I've been thinking about Jeremiah. And when God first called him as a prophet, God tells him, I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. And immediately, Jeremiah tries to pull back. Lord God, behold, I do not know how to speak, for I am only a youth. That moment right there, that hesitation, that's what editing yourself looks like. Because it's not always loud disobedience. Sometimes it can just be quiet resistance. It's, yes, Lord, but let me make myself smaller before I go. But God didn't accept Jeremiah's as edits. God replied, do not say, I am only a youth. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you. I have put my words in your mouth. He didn't need Jeremiah to shrink. He needed Jeremiah to speak. And the same is true for you. I know what it's like to question if your sound is too much. To feel like your movement is too expressive, or that your language is too prophetic, or that your message is just simply too intense, as they would say. And over time, without even realizing it, you start rounding off the edges of your obedience. You stop sharing the full thing. You start sharing the diluted version, the watered down version, the accepted version. And you start leaving out the parts that makes people uncomfortable, or that maybe even start to make you feel uncomfortable. But here's what I've learned. God doesn't anoint the version of you that you've edited down. He anoints the one that He created. So that means the bold one, the sensitive one, the expressive one, the deep feeling, the spirit listening, I don't fit here one. Yes, that one. So let me speak this directly to you today. You don't need to change your tone to be accepted. You don't need to tone down your fire just to make others comfortable. And you don't need to hide what makes you different. Your uniqueness was the assignment, not the obstacle. So if you've been editing your worship, if you've been editing your creativity, your voice, or even boldness, God is calling the unfiltered to rise again. And you don't need to wait until you're just right. You don't need to soften what's holy. And you don't need to apologize for your obedience. You were never too much. You were just ahead of your time. And maybe you were just trying to fit into a space that couldn't hold your sound. You know how when you're writing a paper, or you could be drafting a book, or even working on a report, and every time that you go back and reread it, you find something else that you can change, right? Another way to say it, maybe if I change this, it'll sound a little bit better. A word that doesn't sit right, or maybe a sentence that just need to be just a little bit tighter or reworded, or a phrase that feels too bold or maybe too much. Maybe they won't understand that. And before you know it, you've edited the heart right out of what you originally wrote. When you read it that fifth or sixth time, you no longer recognize it anymore. We do the same thing to ourselves. We start trimming our presence. We rewrite how we show up. We second guess what God gave us to say. And slowly, we edit ourselves out of the very thing that He called us to carry. But here's the truth. You weren't created to endlessly redraft it. You were created to be released. Because heaven isn't asking for your edits. Heaven is waiting for your sound. So lift your voice and stand in your calling and release what God has placed in you without apology. So if this spoke to you today, I want to encourage you. Go back to God with it. Let Him confirm again who you are. and let Him remove anything that was never yours to carry. The insecurities, the shrinking, and the fear of being misunderstood. Give it back to God. Because there is freedom on the other side of obedience, and there is power in your sound. And there's something waiting. There is someone waiting to hear God through your unedited yes. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And if this episode spoke to you, if this episode blessed you, or if you have someone that you believe need to hear this word, I ask that you share it. Share it with someone who may be holding back, or maybe someone who needs a reminder that they don't have to play small to be faithful. They don't have to play small to fit in and to make other people comfortable. All they need to do is follow God's instruction and be obedient and allow Him to carry all those things that we can release to Him. You've been listening to the Prophetic Creative with Khaleedah. Keep creating, keep listening, and keep following God fully and freely. God bless.